In the bio that we read out, you talked about having three near-death experiences, and before you were 30.
I wouldn't have it any other way, because it makes you who you are, and all the trauma that we all experience in our lives, we can either let it get us down or let it strengthen us.
You're constantly monitoring ads. You look at them during the night, you look at them on weekends, and there's not many other people who do that, but it makes a massive difference to the success of those ads.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical. It does absolutely make all the difference. It's also fair to say, it's absolutely not easy.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to running Facebook ads?
The biggest one by far is down to targeting. We all know that, you can't, as amazing as a business might be, their services and products can change lives. They can only do that if they're speaking to the right people.
How do you take them from where they are to where they need to be? Like, what's the process that you kind of follow? Like, how do you create value for your clients?
Yeah, great question. So instantly we just want to find out, what is their end goal? If their end goal is to get people in a room to then, sell to them, then we then advise them on the best strategy to do that, whether they agree or not. You need to know that end goal.
Welcome to another episode of the Ultimate Marketing Podcast with myself, Dee.
Me, Sarah.
And myself, Vish.
I know, one day we're going to get this so it's so seamless without any breaks or pauses or like, oh God, what is she doing now?
Waiting for your cue.
Exactly. This is how we roll. But you know what? I never know whether I should be doing it this way or that way or whatever. Anyway, depending on how the whole podcast is going to be edited. Welcome to another episode. We are the ultimate podcast when it comes to all of your marketing needs. So we are the place to be, to listen to watch. We are the three that will bring you all marketing nuggets that you need in your business today. We'll let you know what's working today, what's not working today, and we'll bring you the whole plethora of what marketing is about, whether it's B2C, B2B, H to H, me to you, you to me, whatever it might be.
Sound like a chuckle brother. You sound like a chuckle brother. Yeah, from me to you, you to me. Bloody hell!
That literally came from the top of my head. This week,
before you go any further into it, it's really important to get out at the start to like, share, comment, subscribe to all of the channels. We're all major podcast channels like Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, whatever you want to call it, and Stitcher, which is the only one that Dee knows. We're also on YouTube, so hit subscribe on the YouTube channel, and you'll be updated as to when the new episodes are launched on there as well. So you can watch us as well as hear us, because usually the video is more funnier than the audio, because you can see us all on there. But we have got a very special guest, which I'm going to hand back over to Dee for, and Dee will give a very special guest an introduction today.
I will do it. And also check out our links in the show notes, because we also promote all of our episodes on each of our individual social media links. So Sarah's, Vish's, mine's are down there. And we'll also, any guests that we have, we'll also have their social media links in the show notes as well. So yes, this week, and thank you for interrupting me, Vish, and making sure that we do that, because yes, that is important. And also we always say, share with your friends as well, because the golden nuggets might help them in their business. Absolutely. And make all the difference.
Yeah.
So this week we have got an amazing guest. I only met this guy probably a couple of years ago. I think, Sarah, you've known a little bit longer, perhaps.
A little bit longer, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and he is one of the nicest, humblest individuals that I know who is in this space. Because let's face it, there are some people in this space who are just, well, a bit too much to deal with. But this individual is honestly, everything he does for his clients, it comes from the heart. So let me tell you a little bit about a gentleman called Dan Todd. So Dan Todd is a self-confessed marketing geek. I knew, Vish, you would like that.
I love it. Big
marketing geek and founder of Impactful Marketing, with over a decade of digital marketing experience And having spent many millions of clients' money on Facebook ads, Impactful Marketing runs Facebook ad campaigns for some of the most well-known experts in the UK and overseas, including Expert Empires, Rob Moore, Aaron Curry, so loads of people that we know. But Dan's true passion really lies in increasing people's impact on the world. With 3 near-death experiences before turning 30, Dan wants to give back to the world that he's still grateful to be part of. And his marketing experience and agency is his vehicle to achieving that. So I think what's great about this is Impactful Marketing has so much more of a mission beneath the marketing element that that's what makes him really different. So let's give it up for the one and only Mr. Dan Todd.
Thank you.
Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
I did do the clapping on my side, just so you know, with the sound effects. You just can't hear them.
Yeah.
And I turned it off at the right time as well.
She said she did it, allegedly, so we can't hear it, but hey, it is what it is.
So Dan, do you want to let's start off by you giving us a little intro on you, what you do, tell us, and who you do it for.
Yeah, so thanks for the intro, G. So yeah, my business is Impactful Marketing. It started out as myself a few years ago, and we've now expanded. We've got a team of 5 plus additional outsourcers, etc. And yeah, we run primarily Facebook ad campaigns for experts, speakers, authors, people with a speciality in a certain area to help people with a particular problem, whether it's a problem with their business or a problem with themselves personally. And yeah, we connect those experts to their ideal target audience using Facebook ads as the vehicle. We are looking to expand and launch other to other ad platforms in the near future, but for now it's Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, we've spent close to 4 million in the last 6 years on ads, so we learned an awful lot about what works in that time. Equally, what doesn't work as well, because that's just as important. And yeah, some of our clients include, as you said, Nick James for Expert Empires, Rob Moore, Daniel Priestley, lots of different experts who are already, they're already well known, they're already, have a particular mission to change lives, and we're just helping them to connect with more and more people. So yes, they can make more money, but also to have an impact on people's lives and to help more people, which is critical to me. We're not just in it for the money. Yes, we make great returns, but we help clients to help others, and that's really important to me in the business. So yeah.
Dan, how did you get into doing it? How did you get into doing what you do today?
Yeah, great question. So I've always been a geek, really, big into marketing, and then I'm just laughing at Vish's little
I
dance
know his
there.
reaction, right?
I've got a fellow brother over here. I feel a kinship towards you, my friend.
Likewise. Yeah, so in my career as a marketeer for different employers, I always wanted to branch out and go my own way, for different reasons. One of which was I hate taking orders at the best of times, so I wanted to be my own boss. But also, my market skills could only help so many people if I only served one business, i.e. the employer. So by going out by myself, I can serve dozens at the same time, which means, just massively enhancing the amount of people that can be helped directly, indirectly through my skills. So Facebook ads seemed like a great way of doing that, and I started in my last job I started to learn how to use Facebook ads to fill their events and their email lists, and I got to a point where I was getting such great results. I was like, right, this is the time to take the jump. It was very risky for me. I'm not a risk taker normally. I probably had 2-3 months of money saved up to live off, but it just felt right, like I had to do it at that point. So in about this time in 2019, I quit my job and went solo, because I wanted to be my own boss, but I also just wanted to enhance that impact, because I saw the power of Facebook ads on one business. I know I could, and I knew I could apply that to so many others. So yeah, that's where that's where everything came from, really.
So when it comes to like your ideal client, so like obviously Facebook ads is something that, you know, Facebook has obviously evolved over the last however many 2 decades or whatever, especially you know, having initially started as a social platform where people swapped their dinner habits versus connected with their friends and family across the world. So in terms of Facebook, in terms of the ads that you do, what are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to running Facebook ads that you see on a regular basis, and that you know that you kind of have to focus on to help them come to the other side?
Yeah, great question. So the biggest one by far is down to targeting. You know, we all know that, you know, you can't, as amazing as a business might be, their services and products can change lives. They can only do that if they're speaking to the right people. So one of the biggest mistakes people make with ads in particular is running their ads to everybody in a city or a country, and wondering why they're not getting many leads, customers and clients as a result. That's because they're spending 95% of their ad budget on people that would never ever be interested, because they're targeting everybody. Now, I'd love to say that, you know, everybody would buy from you, but we all know that's not the case. Only a very small amount do. So that's a big mistake, massively. You know, one of the many benefits of Facebook is being able to target the right kind of people, but first timers don't know that they can do that, and they also don't know that they should. You know, they see, oh, there's literally, say, 30 million active users in the UK right now on Facebook. Oh, amazing! I want to sell to them all. And then they wonder why, you know, most of their budget doesn't return. Doesn't return much in the way of leads, customers, and clients. So that is a big mistake for sure. One of the other mistakes that is key to the way that we manage our hands-free services is the management of the ads. So businesses put all their effort into creating the perfect offer, the perfect ad. It looks amazing, sounds amazing. However, the way Facebook works, and marketing in general for that matter, is every day is different. An ad can do really well today, bad tomorrow. However, because of how Facebook sells itself to its advertisers, people tend to turn an ad on, leave it for a week, and maybe come back a week later expecting the best results for little cost, and find that they've burnt through their money for next to nothing. So what people need to be doing is managing their ads a lot more, literally checking them very often. Now, this is something Facebook doesn't recommend. We go against what Facebook recommends. And for all of our clients, we're constantly checking and making changes, because otherwise you might as well be throwing your money out the window, because it changes day to day. So you need to be able to maximize your good days, minimize your bad days, so then you get, you know, the most out of your ad budget. So those, I would say, are probably the two biggest mistakes by far. The third is probably, you know, just not understanding the target audience. Really, they obviously buy into their product and services, so they know it off by heart, but they cannot translate that into their ad. So somebody who doesn't understand can actually, you know, identify how it can help them. So that is something else as well. People assume that everybody will know what they're talking about, but obviously they're buyers because it's their service, their product. So I would say that is one of the big mistakes. But there are also mistakes that, you know, it's also understandable as well. So things like the management of your ads. Facebook literally tells you to turn your ads on and not touch a thing for days, weeks, regardless of how much you're spending. Absolutely, Vish. Absolutely. You might as well be shooting yourself in the head.
Yeah, man.
You might as well be throwing your money out the window. And Facebook tells you to do that because theoretically their algorithms, their artificial intelligence will optimize your ads to get you the best results. Now, in theory, that sounds amazing, but in practice, we found that doesn't work. We find ignoring Facebook and making changes often, checking often, gets the best results. So that's what we do for all of our clients, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, it helps that we're geeks, so we love what we do as well, but you know, it's also about getting the best results for clients, which is what they deserve. So that's why we do that. But yeah, I'd say those are the biggest mistakes by far.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, Dan, in terms of what makes you unique, like your marketing Facebook ad business unique, is the amount of time you spend looking at people's ads, and the fact that you'll even look at their ads in the middle of the night sometimes, and at the weekends. Like, there's not many businesses that are almost open 24/7, which you almost are, really, isn't it? Like, you're constantly monitoring ads. You look at them during the night, you look at them on weekends, and there's not many other people that do that, but it makes a massive difference to the success of those ads.
Yeah, it's absolutely critical. It does absolutely make all the difference. It's also fair to say, it's absolutely not easy. Yes, I'm a geek, so I love this stuff, but I've got a baby now. I want to spend more time with my family, so I need to figure out the best balance for that going forward, because I don't want to compromise. I refuse to compromise on service, but also, I'm also doing what I do for my family, so I can't neglect them. So I'm still, it's a constant battle trying to figure out that struggle, to be fair, but I will get there. But yeah, it's definitely easier to get up during the night now anyway, because my little babies are always waking me up anyway. So it makes sense checking ads at the same time.
While he's being fed.
Absolutely, yeah. Bottle in one hand and phone in the other. Yeah, scrolling ads. Yeah.
I just want to move away a little bit from the Facebook ads thing, because obviously in the bio that we read out, you talked about having three near-death experiences, and before you were 30. And I just want people to realize or understand, like, the resilience that has been built within you. So if you're okay to, can you talk a little bit about what happened and how that has really catapulted to where you are today?
Yeah. So at 12 years of age, I had to have a liver transplant due to a rare liver disease that I think only one person in the country gets diagnosed a year or something like that. Came completely out of the blue, was very aggressive, which meant the only way I could survive was a new liver entirely. So that was at 12 years of age. I missed school for a year. That was all difficult getting back into all that. There was also a complication a few years later with rejection, which is common with organ donation. Your body's confused why essentially you've got this, foreign organ in your body. So that led to other complications during sixth form. So yeah, despite being a geek and someone's passionate about learning, and I'm often called a sponge because I take everything in, my grades from school, sixth form, and university for that matter, were average at best. I barely got through. But yeah, it did. I absolutely wouldn't have it any other way. Like, yes, it was awful at the time, but it's made me the person I am today, to appreciate what we have and to be more understanding of people, and just, I let it fuel me as opposed to slow me down. And then, the most recent one was during lockdown in July 2020. So this was barely a year into being self-employed. Bearing in mind the lack of money that I started with, I was still in my spare room in the bedroom. The arrival of COVID ruined everything, because at the time most of my income was running after to fill events in person, and of course they all completely stopped. So I had to pivot and change. But apparently that was a stressful time for me, because I ended up having a heart attack in July 2020. I was 29 at the time, so it's not usual. I didn't even know it was a heart attack at the time. I never expected it was, because my age at the time. But yeah, because of how difficult things were, I had to get back to work very fast within like 7 days of the heart attack actually happening. But all that is, again, I wouldn't have it any other way, because it makes you who you are, and all the trauma that we all experience in our lives, we can either let it get us down or let it strengthen us. And it's absolutely not easy to do that. There's been times I remember being, in hospital after my transplant, pretty much giving up on things because I was fed up with all the fighting. But one of the tactics that I've learned to adapt is just when I'm struggling, I just think about, what I can achieve and do when things get better. So that's what I was thinking when I was in hospital after my heart attack. I was listening to the Greatest Showman soundtrack. I was thinking, right, I can create my own greatest show in my own business, once I get through this. So some interesting times, but it makes me who I am, and that's why, yes, I'm about making money for other clients, but it's also about having an impact on the world. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the NHS, and just technology and the staff, and the organ donor himself, who I sadly know nothing about.
Yeah, and you raise money, don't you, to give back as well, don't you?
Yeah, so charity is a big thing to me as well. We support a number of charities, and hopefully next year I'm going to be launching a bit of a, not really a scheme, but essentially every member of my team will be able to pick a charity of their choice, and we're going to donate an amount every month to that charity in addition to what I already donate. And I'm also looking for other ways of how I can raise awareness of organ donation, because right now it's framed as it can save your life, and it absolutely can, but it also changes your life as well. It's not like I kept being ill and just I could have kept a very simple life after my transplant and just been happy that I was alive, but I kept pushing. I'm constantly trying to find ways of raising awareness of that, because it's meant I've now got a baby boy who of course never would have existed if I hadn't survived, which the very thought of that is crazy now that I'm actually saying it out. But yeah, you've got to give back. Business isn't just about making money for yourself. You've got to give back, and I don't see there's any exclusivity. Like they come as a package. You can't just pick one and not the other. Not if you really want to succeed in modern times.
Yeah, and I think first of all, the name of your agency, Impactful Marketing, says it all, doesn't it? It is about having an impact, but in so many different ways. And I think that, it's very rare to find somebody in this space who has that way of thinking. And obviously that's happened. One of the reasons it's happened is because of the experiences that you've gone through. But I think that also is very testament to the kind of person that you are as well, and the individual that you are, because the same passion that you have for the kind of philanthropy side and the charity and giving back, you put that same essence into how you serve your clients, don't you? Like, as Sarah was mentioning, the constant checking of the ads and making sure that, you're going against what the experts out there in terms of Facebook say, and going, no, actually, I want to make this a better process for my clients. And I think that's testament to you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. That's really kind. And yeah, I always say to new clients, we don't guarantee a thing. We only guarantee we'll do everything we can. And the fact is, there's often more things that we can do that makes a difference. So we're always constantly striving to do that.
Mm-hmm. It's mad, isn't it, guys? Like, there's always people asking for guarantees in marketing.
Yeah. And you can't guarantee anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I always say, like, we were talking about it earlier, there's like so many pieces of the jigsaw, and Dan and I talk about this a lot when we're working with clients. There's like so many bits, and you've got to fit them all together, and then there could be one little bit in the whole thing that's not working as well as it could. And if you just make a tweak to that one bit, it'll have a massive difference. Yeah. So, there's so many knobs to turn, basically, to try and get something to work. Dials up, dials down. And it's just like having that continuous improvement mindset and understanding that there are no guarantees and there's so many different things that make an impact is really important, I think, when we work with clients.
And the guarantee that, look, I will do, the one thing I can guarantee, just like you said, Dan, right? The one thing I can guarantee is I will do everything in my power to get you the best results that I can. But there are so many variables. So Vish, you must have the same problem, right?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens irrespective of whether you're doing ads or funnels or using LinkedIn or any other platform, and it happens. And the most common one that I find is, well, if you believe in the product so much, why don't you come on board as a partner? I'm all right, cool, but then I want 80% of the profit, because I'm bearing all the risk. It's your business, but I'm the one who's bearing the risk, and I'm the one who's fronting everything for it. I'll do it happily, but you got to reward me for it justly as well, and that usually ends that conversation. And maybe it's the wrong way to go into a conversation with it. People would assume that to be arrogance or whatever, but I've got to stick up for my business and my my livelihood at the end of the day. But this goes into customer mindset. And I think, Dan, one of the questions I got is, because you touched on something really important, and we see this all the time. Facebook advise you to do things in a certain way. They offer, I hate using this phrase, marketing experts to jump on a call with you and tell you what to do, right? And I can see that reaction, because I've jumped on a few of those calls myself just to hear what they come up with. And they're like, yeah, so you should do like an engagement campaign. I was like, but that's not the outcome I'm looking for. They're like, yeah, but the engagement campaign will get it out to more people. I'm like, yeah, but that's not the outcome I'm looking for. I'm looking for conversions. I'm looking for clients. I'm looking for signups, whatever it is. And the advice from Facebook experts in that respect is always, it always falls short of the mark. And that usually puts you it juxtaposes you to what Facebook are actually saying. How do you deal with that aspect with your clients like that? Because that's a really important thing, because clients get to access these phone calls as well. And sometimes clients come to us. I don't know how we deal with it. But how do you personally deal with that? Because that's a big challenge for a lot of businesses that run adverts, right?
Yeah, I love that question. So, some of our clients, understand our experience and simply leave it to us. We can decide whether we, speak to Facebook or not. If we have any choice in it whatsoever, we absolutely don't. I always think, they're experts in the theory, but how much money have they spent on ads? It's one thing knowing the theory; it's actually doing it that counts, and they don't have that experience. For those clients that, we've had certain clients that do have calls with Facebook, and then they're like, oh, I want to do this campaign next. So, firstly, we say, we're here to serve you. We will, we will do what you want. However, here's our thoughts on this. Plus, let's be data driven. Let's look at what we already know from what we've already done and learn. Never mind what somebody who knows nothing about your business, who is paid by Facebook, just coming along and suggesting a strategy. Sometimes we just go along with it and let the numbers reveal what's best. And if it was a good decision, then great. However, those times it has worked out are very few. But you have to be data driven. And the fact is these experts know the theory, but they don't live and breathe it like we do. As I say, 12 hours a day. You get a sense for it. Like I can do it. I can run as blindfolded now if I knew the data. It becomes instinctive, which I also find it very difficult to then train my expanding team, because I can't get out of my head because it's so instinctive now. Like breathing, I just do it. But Facebook experts probably make things harder. I would say when managing clients, and helps really.
So what is your? I mean, and obviously the approach. Obviously, looking after the ads and stuff like that. But when it comes to say onboarding a new client, right? What is it that you do specifically for your clients? Because we're deep diving into what our experts do. So when you've got a new client and you take them on board, how do you get them from where they are, which may be a standing start, it may be a start that they've had and they've I'd say wasted money. They've invested money in ads and it hasn't given them the result they wanted. How do you take them from where they are to where they need to be? Like, what's the process that you kind of follow? Or like, how do you create value for your clients?
Yeah, great question. So instantly, we just want to find out, what is their end goal? If their end goal is to get people in a room to then, sell to them, then we then advise them on the best strategy to do that, whether they agree or not. You need to know that end goal. So, for example, one of our recent clients, it turns out their end goal is fill a webinar, but they wanted us to do lead magnet ads at first, which were a lot cheaper than webinar ads. But then not every one of those was translating into a webinar registration through their funnel.
Yep.
So it wasn't until they actually revealed what their end goal was that we could then change the strategy and advise them. But also, not everyone knows what their end goal is. They don't necessarily know what they want. Another thing we love to know as well is budgets, expectations, cost per leads, and they don't always have that, which is fine. But we like to, because of I'm very much a high C on disc, so I'm very compliant. We will follow clients' budgets to the penny, and if we go over, we give them it back. So we need to have very clear expectations, but they don't always know that either. And the final piece as well is just getting into the heads of their target audience and really understand them and try and imagine, that we're one of them. And sometimes some of our clients, I am actually already their ideal target audience, which is amazing. Other times, we spend the time watching their videos, their webinars, and really trying to understand the pains that they're going through. But yeah, every client is different. We have a standard, like introduction and format of things that we go through, but every client is different. Expectations are different. So some are happy with different KPIs than others, and it's very varied. But you've got to do that bespoke. You've got to deliver that bespoke service in order to get the best results from them. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think, like in terms of Facebook? Obviously, the big iOS change that happened,
That's what I was going to ask as well.
Yeah,
I was like, so
well,
talk to me about these iOS changes.
yeah. So
Everybody spoke about.
yeah, everybody was speaking about it a couple of years ago. Obviously, from a tracking perspective, iOS is changing again soon with iOS 17. So, there's more changes that are coming, which people say are going to make it more difficult. I think it's going to make it better because it will even out the noise and it will allow marketers to know what they're doing to actually be able to deliver a better quality service to their clients. But there are obviously loads of challenges that are present with that as well. So with the ever changing landscape of the platform, and Facebook being almost like a live entity, right? Every day is different. You've touched on it so, and you articulated it so eloquently, my friend. Like it changes every minute sometimes. Like you're going to get a result one day, and it's going to be a very different result the next day. So with everything changing on the platform the way it's changing right now, where do you see advertising on Facebook and Instagram going in the future? Just as an example platform, we don't have to worry about the other platforms, but where do you see the trend going for that?
Yeah, interesting question. I mean, even the thought of the iOS changes a few years ago, like that gave me sleepless nights at the time. I'm more calm now about the upcoming ones than a few years ago. But change happens. We've got to embrace it, and as you say, it's best for the for the audience and everybody using Facebook. Where I see things going, I see Facebook and Instagram getting harder, and it is always getting harder. You're constantly fighting, and it's harder to target people, but it's still worthwhile, and that's one of the jobs I struggle with most, trying to get across to our clients. We need to let's be data driven here. Yes, it's harder. Your leads might be more expensive. There might be less of them, but it's about that end goal, that end return. And if it's still working for you, then great. That said, from my business's point of view and our clients, if Facebook was to shut off tomorrow, I wouldn't have a business, and my clients wouldn't have leads, customers, and clients coming in. So that's why I want to branch out to other platforms, just in case. I can't see Facebook just dropping off a cliff tomorrow, but who knows what happens. So we need to be prepared. But I panic less about iOS changes now than I used to. But you just have to deal with it's any aspect of business. You've got challenges, you've got things changing. You just got to embrace it, make the most of it. And I still see plenty of life left in Facebook. Equally, I'm going to future-proof my business and my clients by branching to other platforms as well. But I don't see Facebook going anywhere. It'll just get harder. Some advertisers will drop off as a result, which may balance out things when get cost per leads and things like that. But it's not a big deal. I don't think anyway. Feel free to quote me on that in a couple of months.
A couple of things. So first of all, in my head, I'm going, Dan, you and I need to have a conversation about you being my LinkedIn ads guy, because the amount of focus you put on data is really important, because I don't think LinkedIn have enough data. So to have somebody like you who's then able to, work with my clients and be able to run their LinkedIn ads and be able to then say to them, like, look, these are the kind of costs per conversions that you get on that platform is going to be amazing, which kind of inspires this question. And that is like, you know, a lot of the time people get told to do Facebook ads, and you know, that's the thing that's encouraged. That's the thing that's encouraged. And I remember during the pandemic, I did. I ran Facebook ads for a webinar to call strategy. And I took out a bounce back loan because that was obviously going towards the advertising of the business. And one of the things that I was then later advised after I'd pretty much spent all my money and, you know, I'd got some good leads, etc., didn't make a massive amount of profit, but, you know, still made a little bit of money. But one of the things that I remember I got told after the fact was that it wasn't the right strategy for me at that time, because it, you know, that type of strategy would need a more budget behind it in order to get the results that I wanted. So what's a good budget for people to go, right, okay, yes, this is a budget that you need, whether, because especially with your audience, because you still, am I right in thinking that you focus on people who want to fill events, whether that's webinars, live events, etc.? That's kind of your niche, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the best way for them to get the biggest return on the leads we generate. Yeah.
Yeah. So what sort of budget should your ideal clients be looking at in terms of their ad budget, their ad spend? What's a good ad spend for them to have in the pot that will get them decent enough results?
Yeah, great question. So our ideal clients, they would have at least 5,000 a month for ads alone. People looking to just test out a strategy themselves need no more than £500. You don't need these thousands of thousands that Facebook wants you to spend to learn. You know, 500 is sufficient to. I always use the analogy, it's like going fishing in lots of different ponds. You don't want to spend all your money, all your time in one pond. You just want to get enough data to see whether it's working or not, and then move on to something else. So yeah, £500 is a minimum to explore Facebook ads. But yeah, our clients, because they have you know, bigger than average businesses, you know, 7-8 figure businesses, they have a lot of processes, and they also have a lot of high ticket, you know, mastermind programs at £10,000-15,000. They need to spend a lot more, at least £5,000, in order to get the data and enough leads and a return, which they often
they want. And what if they're at like a, you know, a bit like what Sarah talks about, you know, sort of high, especially with her done with you, kind of high five, you know, coming into 6-figure businesses where they haven't been running Facebook ads, or, you know, they haven't yet tried them, or they've explored them and now they want to go, right, let's go with that because we need to run ads. What sort of budget would you be looking at for them?
It's tough, really. It would depend on the business. I mean, sometimes people come to us, they say they've got £500 left in their business, they need to turn it around, they want to put it into ads, and I say, no, absolutely not. I don't want to be responsible for that, and you can't put all your funds into one thing. So it does vary. You've got to be more cautious if you're you know, 5 low 6-figure business. Yeah, I mean, in some cases, they might be better off not doing that at all. It depends on the funds they've got and the cash flow they've got coming up in the coming months. Yeah, I still say, regardless, £500 is enough to get data, and any less, and you may get lucky, but I'd say 500 is a good amount. If that is too much.
Yeah, if they've got a couple of grand a month, that's a decent enough. If they're not a massive big business like the 8-figure business, but if they've got a couple of grand, then it's definitely worth you know, investing in Facebook ads, because they'll get a decent enough response. Obviously, like you said, it does depend on so many variables, but it at least they've got the ability to be able to. And obviously, it depends on the sales process and everything, doesn't it? On how well they are at closing. Yeah. I think that's really interesting. I think that understanding like how much money per day or per month you should be putting, that budget, I think is really important, because, you know, like you said, Dan, people go into it not realizing, and they want to put the little that they've got into it all, or they just don't have a good enough understanding of, right, a webinar registration would cost this much, a PDF download registration would cost this much, a call booking would cost this much, and then understanding how the sales process and everything that you do afterwards. So Sarah Cox, the the marketing, the follow-up, all of that kind of stuff will then impact the actual conversion. So the conversion that you're actually paying for via the ad is a conversion to get them into your email list or whatever it is, isn't it? Is the lead conversion. It's not the cost. It's not the actual conversion of money being exchanged yet in some cases.
And Dan, do you find that some clients like try to do ads too early in their business? So I'm just thinking, like, do you find that there's a certain level of where the business is at that makes it sensible to start ads versus like if you're like in the early 5 figures, mid 5 figures, then maybe it is a bit too early in your business to start doing ads? Like, do you have a sense of when's the right time in business to start looking at it?
Yeah, great question. It does vary by each business and situation, really. You definitely need, to be able to invest money into it and to learn the ads and have everything in place to follow up and nurture and ultimately, monetize those leads. So it's definitely not for everybody. Is there really a clear rule? I'm not sure there is, because some businesses might be quite small, but they've only got themselves to pay for and maybe some additional software costs, but they don't have an office and team. Whilst other businesses that might be small might have other overheads. So it does depend on what they've got spare, but yeah, as long as they've got £500 minimum to put into it, and of course they've got those systems behind it, there's no use generating 50 leads if they haven't got automation, email sequences, nurture sequences, and all that automation to warm them up and then monetize them. Then there's no point wasting your money. Equally, if they don't have capacity, as a small business, they can only deal with so many clients at once, and they need to factor that in as well. So, not the best answer, but it's the most honest answer. It does vary case by case, I would say.
It does make sense because it ties in with like the funnel side of things as well. Like, like you said, like there's no point in bringing in loads of leads if you're then not going to do anything with those leads. I mean, you and I have seen that before, where people bring in leads and then they don't actually do the work that's needed once they've got the leads. So it's almost like, there's no point in bringing in 1,000 leads if you're not going to then actually turn those leads into clients. And it is difficult to know when's the right stage, but I think it's like, I always say, like, you've got an established business, you've already sold your offer so that you know that people want it, there's a demand for it, and you're usually transitioning from one-to-one to many, because when it's one-to-one, you can pretty much do everything organically, do it yourself. But if you're trying to grow your business and scale and you need more leads, then there's going to get a point where word of mouth and referrals is not going to do the job for you. You need more leads, and therefore that's when you start to need ads and funnels. But you kind of need both. So like once I suppose, just a quick point, because I know, Vish, you want to come into your geeky question in a minute. But what I was just thinking was, they've got to also invest in the ad side and the funnel side. So that's something you and I need to make clear to clients sometimes, because the ads have got to go somewhere. And usually that's to a landing page or some sort of page where people sign up for something, whether it's a downloadable thing or whether it's a webinar or whether it's a challenge. So you need all the automation on the back end to follow up with the leads once they come into your process. So you can't kind of think, oh, I've got this budget, I'm just going to invest in ads, because you need the funnels. Same with me.
Even I think there's one step. There's one step even. I think there's one step prior to that, and that's the ad copy as well, which obviously Dan would look at, because in order for them to hit the funnel, they've got that ad copy has to do the job as well.
Yeah.
So I think there's one step even before the funnel, and that is you got the ad copy that sells a Facebook ad or the click. And then the click sells the funnel, and then the funnel has to sell the click on the funnel. So I think there's those little micro steps in between.
Well, so that's an interesting point, Dee, because when Dan and I work together with clients, one of the things that I do is I go into that in-depth piece around who's your ideal client, and I get that really nailed for the landing page, and then Dan will take that for the ad copy, because we very much want to make sure the ad copy is aligned with whatever it says on the landing page. They've got to have the same feel and the same use of words, because otherwise people think like that doesn't make sense. I've seen an ad for X and now I've landed on this page that says Y. You want both to be saying the same thing.
Oh God, yeah, 100%. I think it's getting people to realize, isn't it, that the ad and Vish and I, obviously we've learned this, haven't we? That the scroll stopping image sells the ad copy sells the click, the click sells the landing page, the landing page sells the call to action.
Yes.
And what too many people do is when they write that ad copy, even if it's aligned, the problem that they have is they try and sell the thing on the landing page. But that's not what it's there for. The ad copy has to sell the desire to want to click on learn more or sign up or register. And I think that's where the difference is. So it's the bit that is where the tone of voice, like you said, and the ultimate the feel of the copy is the same, so they don't feel like they're landing on somebody else's page. But understanding that the ad copy, the only job of the ad copy is to click that button. The only job of the image is to stop the scroll. Once it stopped the scroll, the only job of the headline of that ad is to read the rest of the copy. And I think people need to understand that it's not just, it is each of those micro steps are so key. So
and this is a great segue into my question,
your question,
because obviously
to know what the key is.
Yeah, you guys you're gonna love this question. Hopefully, Dan, you're gonna love this question as well. So, obviously, that experience as it currently is on a static top-down feeder newsfeed type of experience is going to change, right? With Meta and the metaverse coming around the corner. I've got the headset. I actively take part in VR games with the kids. Love it because it's it's something that's going to happen. So I might as well just ride the crest of the wave as opposed to follow up with the laggards at the end. So I can see that changing quite drastically. How do you see? Where do you see it going, man? Because that's like a whole metaverse question, really, isn't it? How do you expect the ad experience and engagement experience to change with people?
Yeah, great question. When it comes to changes and everything, I tend to ride the wave as opposed to spending too much time worrying sleepless nights and trying to figure out the best way. That said, it does look like the best way is for marketing in general is personalized, more personalized targeted marketing, and that is a big part of Meta strategy. So it's I don't really have a vision of how it's going to look and feel. I'm kind of just waiting to ride the wave, as opposed to there's only so much information we've got, really. It's a bit of an climactic answer, really. But whatever happens, we've got the systems and team to make it work, and I'm confident it still will work for clients. Meta need their ad money coming in. Yes, it might not be easy at the time, but we'll make it work. But to be honest, I'm not up to date with where what Meta's plans are, other than personalization is key to it. But other than that, to be honest, bit of a disappointing answer.
No, not at all, man.
I think
they're holding that one close to their chest as well, though, aren't they? Right, they're holding it really close to their chest.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where at the moment with the world of AI and, like you said, Meta, and it's all a wait and see what happens.
Yeah,
Dan, honestly, we could talk to you for absolutely ages on all of this stuff. We say that to every guest, but it is true. Like this will hit an hour in this episode. For people who want to get hold of you, what do they need to do? People who want to work with you, if you are a coach, a consultant, a speaker, a trainer, and you are holding events, whether virtual, webinars, live events, etc., how do they get hold of you, Dan?
Yeah, if they go to www.impactfulmarketing.co.uk, they can learn some more about us and get in touch with us that way. Likewise, of course, I'm always on my own Facebook, so if they just search for Dan Todd, they should be able to find me. I'm clearly labelled as being the founder of Impactful Marketing. Usually those two methods would suffice.
Do the deed. And we'll put those links and contact details for Dan in the show notes as well. So thank you so much, Dan, for joining us. Really appreciate it. It's been really lovely to get to know you and understand where you're coming from. And I think one of the key things, before I know Vish is wanting to clap, I think one of the key things I love about you is just your whole ethic and mission behind the business. I think you are one of those rare gems that has, that really looks at the human element of the service. And, it's not just about, the money and just about building the business and scaling. It's about the reason for it and the purpose and your why behind it. So it's always a pleasure talking to you both on and off the podcast. And we look forward to, seeing what Meta brings towards you and then asking that question in the future again.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been awesome. Awesome being here. So yeah, thank you, Dee. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Vish. And we'll have to speak a lot more, Vish, after this.
Yeah, man, 100%, bro. It's been a pleasure meeting you. I can't believe this is the first time we've met and spoken. But it's been awesome having you on here. Thank you for sharing your story as well. Like more to the, we've spoken about the business aspect of it as well, but, being comfortable enough to share your personal experiences, your personal story. We really appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
It is nothing short of inspirational.
Yeah.
I wanted you to know that, just not from myself, but also from Sarah and Dee. It's a sentiment that carries, and it's great having you on. We'd love to have you back on in the future as well. And obviously to the people that are out there that can get in contact with you and for this podcast, like, share, comment, subscribe. How you found this episode, what you thought of Dan's take on Facebook advertising, and also his backstory as well. It'd be great to get some engagement going with that as well.
Yeah. And just remember, we are on YouTube. So just search for the Ultimate Marketing Podcast on YouTube. You'll get that. Give us a subscribe, share it. You'll obviously see us mad people on there, and it's so much nicer to connect with us there.
You mad people on there.
You mad people. And also on all the major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and more, because I don't know the others, but and more. So make sure all of our socials, we do have the ways to get in touch on our podcast through there. But if you just search for us on any of the platforms, you will find us. It's the Ultimate Marketing Podcast with myself, Dee, with the amazing.
We don't know who's there. It's like
I know. So I was just like, I shouldn't have done that. Vish, go on you.
Yeah, okay, it'll be me. The amazing Vish, and the even more formidable
Sarah.
Yeah, there we go. So listen, join us next time when we bring you more marketing nuggets. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.